Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Scholar ChitChat. Today, I'm your host, Joanne. At Scholar ChitChat, we are committed to bringing you relevant information that will help you achieve your study abroad dreams. And for this episode, we have a special guest who has successfully navigated the Turkish Government Scholarship for his undergraduate studies. So I'll just let him introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Temiyemi Oguntunde. I'm currently a third-year electrical and electronic engineering student in Ankara, Turkey. I got here in 2021 through the Turkish Scholarship for my undergraduate program, and right now I'm in my third year.
Wow, that's nice. Thank you much for joining us for this episode.
You're welcome.
We're happy to have you, so let's just dive right to it. So to start off, we just want to know how and when you heard about the Turkish scholarship and what motivated you to apply.
Okay, I heard about the Turkish scholarship in, I think, 2020. It was around August or October. It was late 2020, the time the pandemic was actually the lockdown was being raised. So it was from a WhatsApp group. At that time, I was trying to apply for this Nigerian scholarship in Russia. So the link was just sent on that group and I saw it and then I just decided to give it a try. So even though the application had not started at the time, I just glanced through the application process, the documents needed. So before the application started, I got the documents ready. So when it started, I just submitted my application straight away.
That's nice. So we had a guest that talked us through the application requirements and process for the Turkish Government Scholarship. Now we just want to know what the next step is after submitting the application.
Okay, normally the application starts January 10 and ends February 20. So after the application, it actually takes quite a long time for them to get back to the successful applicants and invite them for an interview. It takes about 3 months basically. So it's from April, May, June. Between those 3 months, they start sending mails. It depends because they change their system every year. Sometimes it could be April, sometimes it could be May, sometimes June. But the latest is June. They won't go beyond June. So they will send an invite to some applicants. They're going to invite them for an interview. For the undergraduate students, for the undergraduate aspirants, they tell them to go to Abuja, the Turkish embassy in Abuja. They have their interview there. And then for the postgraduate students, it differs. Sometimes they have it online, sometimes they do it physically at the embassy. Yeah, thankfully the application is flexible. You can apply using your NIN or your international passport, so you don't need your international passport while applying. Same thing for the interview. You necessarily don't have to rush to get your passport before the interview comes. You can go to the interview with your NIN. They won't ask for your passports. They are just going to ask for an identification. But if you want to get your passport before going for the interview, fine, you can do it. But it's not compulsory for you to get your passport before the interview process.
So it's just interview, no examination.
Okay, yeah, I was coming to that. For the undergraduate students, they are going to write an exam before the interview. On the same day. At first, you have an exam, and then after, you have the interview. So for the exam, they change their system every year, but it's like a quantitative reasoning stroke mathematics kind of examination. It's not, they don't test your English skills. They test your mathematical and quantitative reasoning skills. So during my time, 2021, the exam had 20 questions and it wasn't on any kind of advanced math. It was just normal high school mathematics and also quantitative reasoning. Those kind of things where they give you a sequence of shapes and tell you to state the next sequence. They tell you to state the next form the shape is going to be in. Those kind of logical reasoning. Yeah, logical and quantitative reasoning exam. That was in 2021. But 2 years after, I think in 2023 or 2022 even, the year after, they changed the system. They made the questions 40, not 20 questions anymore. They made it 40 questions, and this time they asked some advanced, not too advanced, but when I say advanced, I mean integration. They asked questions on differentiation, integration, those kind of mathematical topics. So, but what they did is that they uploaded a particular PDF as a guide. So the PDF is like a question bank for the kind of questions you should expect in the examination. So they asked questions on those on the kind of questions in the PDF. So it was like a bit related to it, not exactly the same structure, but it's just for practice, practice questions, and then that's how they did it. So recently, I think that system still continues till now. So while I'm trying to prepare for the examination, you just focus on the mathematics, logical reasoning, and then quantitative reasoning. And also during my time, we had negative marking. They told us specifically there was negative marking. But right now, I think the year after, they didn't have negative marking. So basically, the system never stays the same. So each year they try to make some differences. But what they do is that they communicate it to you effectively. So they are very good with communication. So they tell you exactly what you need to do. So before the examination, they will tell you whether you have a negative marking or not. But in case they don't say it, just know you have no negative marking.
Okay, so thank you very much. That brings me to my next question. I think you've answered each part of it. So I just want to know, what is negative marking, and then how should applicants prepare for their interview? What kind of questions should they expect?
Okay, first thing, what is negative marking? Negative marking is a kind of system whereby when you get a question wrong, they deduct mark. So if a question is like 2 marks, if you get the question correctly, you win 2 marks. And then, but if you get it wrong, you lose 2.5 marks.
Wow.
It's not always 2.5. That's just an example. The mark you lose is actually dependent on the examiner. They will tell you the mark you're going to lose if you get it wrong. So that's just it. And then for the interview, the kind of questions you should expect, generally they try to just get to know you better during the interview. They ask you questions based on your background, your family background, your interest, why you picked that particular course, why you picked the universities you picked, and also why Turkey. Those 3 questions those 3 questions come out every year. They are definitely going to ask you why you picked the course of study, why you picked the universities you picked, and why you picked Turkey as your destination of study. And then 2 years ago, they asked the applicants questions based on their field. For example, those that applied for medicine, they asked them questions on biology. So they asked them, just like biology questions basically. But last year, they didn't do that. So every year it changed. During my time, they didn't ask us anything based on our course of study. They didn't ask me any physics questions or any mathematics during the interview. But the year after mine, they did that. Those engineering aspirants, they asked them questions on physics. But the year after, they changed it. It was only like for information. The interview was only based on your interests, your plans after graduation also. They just try to get to know the applicants during the interview process.
Okay. So like every other scholarship, do you think it gets tougher every year, winning the Turkish Government Scholarship?
Well, I would say the competition increases every year. That's what I can say, because day by day more people get to know about the scholarship and more people apply every year. So each year they get more applicants.
Thank you for that great advice. So I just want to know your experience living in Turkey as a high school graduate.
Okay, initially it was challenging, actually, not gonna lie, because especially about the language barrier. Coming here at first, I didn't know anything in Turkish, so I had to blend with the environment one way or the other. I had to use Google Translate, I had to use Google Map to get to my destination and to communicate with people. So it was difficult at first, but day by day you get a way, you try to devise a way to survive the whole environment and the whole culture shock and everything. So yeah, definitely challenging at first. And also, thankfully, I had people that were ready to help me. I had people that had been here for, 2 years, 3 years kind of thing. They also like took me around the city. They told me what to do and all those things. So yeah, those people also like made things easier for me.
Okay. So did you experience any cultural shocks? How were you able to adapt it?
Oh yes, I did. But I expected them. I expected those culture shocks. So when I saw them, I just had to adapt in one way. Let me give you an example. Bread now. The dormitory I was placed in, for breakfast we had bread with something.
Okay.
Yeah, like maybe egg or just like different things, egg or sausage or just anything. So for breakfast we had bread and egg. Let me give you an example now. And then for dinner we had rice and then we still had bread again. Then I was surprised how we had bread while we had rice also. So that got me really shocked. And then and then every day for breakfast, for dinner, we have bread every time. So
Wow.
it's in their culture. So they eat bread. Bread is not just for breakfast, it's like every time. So they eat bread with everything. That's one thing I got to know. But they don't necessarily eat bread together with everything, but they just have bread as a side dish. So let's say they have rice, they eat the rice, they finish the rice. When they are done with the rice, then they go to like maybe eat a slice of bread. So they don't eat bread and rice together. Basically, that's the point I'm trying to make.
I think I'll be able to adapt there because I can eat bread every day, anytime.
Oh really? Yeah, okay,
On a
yes.
lighter
You
note,
can adapt.
how is the bread? Is it like the
I
one we
was
have here?
exactly I was about going to that. You can adapt if you like the bread here. The bread here is hard. The exterior part is like
Wow.
hard. Is this hard bread? Yeah. It's nothing similar to the one we have in Nigeria. Yeah, the kind of bread is, how can I explain it? It's just hard. The exterior part, the external part is hard, but the internal part is soft. So it's this really hard bread and you can even knock it. Yeah, that was a joke. Yeah, but sometimes it gets that hard.
Okay, thank you for that. So
Yeah,
my next
you're
question
welcome.
is, did you apply for the Turkish scholarship only once, or you had applied before getting it?
Yeah, I applied once, actually.
Oh,
I applied once.
okay.
Yeah, and I got it that one time.
Okay, so you didn't apply for any other scholarship. This was the only scholarship I applied for,
I
and
did.
you got
I did.
the scholarship.
I did initially, when we started this, I told you I was on a group for people that apply to this. We call it FSB, Federal Scholarship Board. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a scholarship program offered by Nigerian and the Russian government to study in Russia. So that was actually the scholarship I really wanted to get. So I joined the group. We always have this WhatsApp group for aspirants and all this. So I joined the group and I was following the updates on that group. So it was actually the Russian scholarship I was really interested in. But on that group, someone just sent a message of, okay, I know we are all waiting for the application results of the Russian government scholarship, but while we are all waiting, there's also this Turkey Boslai scholarship that you might want to try out. You might want to see how the application is and maybe apply for it. So the person sent it on the group. I clicked on the link, I saw it, and I decided to apply. So yeah, I applied for the Russian scholarship. I didn't get it. And then I applied for some other programs in the US, which I got, but I didn't get a full funding. So because of that, I didn't go for them and I decided to go for Turkey Boslai.
Okay, so how were you able to manage the rejection? How did you cope? What was your strategy for reapplying?
Generally, rejections are not easy to cope with. Sometimes they reduce your motivation to do more. But there's always this one thing I remember every time I get a rejection. One yes is enough to cancel every other no you've once gotten.
Yes.
So no matter the number of no's I get, I still always believe, okay, I only need one yes. I don't even need two. Just one is enough. So that kept
I
me,
agree.
that kept me going, and I kept applying for more programs. Even after I applied for Turkey Postari, I didn't stop there. I still applied for more programs.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's something that almost all the guests that have been on this show kept emphasizing on. No matter the numbers of no's, one yes is able to take away the pains you felt.
Exactly.
Getting
Yeah,
those rejections.
that works. That really works because it increases your motivation to do more. So yeah,
Yes.
every other applicant out there should have this at the back of their mind and not give up. It's always important to keep doing what you can do.
Yeah, so what will you say is the success rate for the Turkish Government Scholarship?
Oh, well, not to discourage the applicants out there, but yeah, the success rate is it low, I'm going to say, because we have thousands of applications. I mean, yearly they release this data. There's always this PDF they release every year, having the number of applicants and then the number of people they accepted and all this each year, and the number of countries they got applications from. So generally they get applications about, I think, thousands of applications generally. Let's say maybe it's been a while I checked, right? But I could say they get like about 100,000 applications every year. It's more than that, definitely. And then out of the 100,000 applications they get, they accept only about 2,000.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really competitive and it's all over the world. It's not only for a specific number of countries.
Yes. Thank you.
That's it. You're welcome.
Thank you. Now, I'll just go back to learning the language. How was it for you?
Yeah, definitely initially, because Turkish language is a kind of language that the structure is so different from English. For example, in English language, we have the subject, the verb in the middle, and then the object at the last part of the sentence. But Turkish, we have the subject, the object, and then the verb is at the last part of the sentence. That was a bit challenging first, trying to bring words together to form a meaningful sentence. And then, at first, the words, everything, trying to memorize the words and their meanings and grammars and all those things. The more you practice, the more comfortable you get with the language. And then the more you speak, also. Speaking is also important because sometimes you can know the grammar, you can know the word, but speaking is a problem. So the more you speak with people that know the language, that speak the language well, the better it gets for you. And then self-confidence is another thing also. There's no how when you speak, you make mistakes. And you definitely will get people that will make jest of you for the mistakes you made. But you ignoring the people making jest of you is the most important thing. You know your destination, you know what you're trying to achieve, you know the kind of proficiency you want to get to in the language. So yeah, you just ignore the people that laugh at you. The ones that laugh know the language already. You're trying to be like them, so you don't listen to them and just do your thing. So that's what kept me going with the language. It wasn't an easy ride, yeah, I'm gonna say that, but at the end we actually could get to a place. That's what I can say.
Okay, thank you very much for
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for that advice. So, is there anything you want to tell our listeners, like any advice, any words of encouragement for them?
Yes. Let me start with the interview part. The interview part is a really important part of the application because that determines whether you will get a final acceptance or not. Then
Okay.
for the interview, before you go for the interview, first thing and one of the most important things you need to do is to go through your application. Now, thankfully, on the application sites, when you go to is it the home section or the last section, my applications, you find the PDF of your application summary.
Okay.
Download the application summary and go through it before you go for your interview. Go through it and make sure you remember the details you put there, because they will ask you again to make sure you are actually the one that filled those things in. Yeah, they want to know you are actually the one that applied yourself and you actually said the truth in your application. So in case maybe you made some adjustments in your application, you didn't say how everything is 100%, you might want to check again for you to know the kind of details you put in the application. So in case they ask you again in the interview, definitely you will flow easily and you won't say something contrary to what you filled in the application. That's one important thing. Another one is the letter of intent. The letter of intent, you also need to go through that because they will ask you also what you put there. Imagine in the letter of intent you said the reason you want to pick Turkey is because of the education, for example, now. And then when they ask you in the interview, you say something else. We have two things contradicting themselves.
Yes.
So, yeah, go through the letter of intent, and then when they ask you again, you say exactly what you wrote in the letter of intent, and also give more information. Don't just say what was the letter of intent alone. Say that and then give more points to buttress a particular reason you gave. So you won't be like you reading directly from your book, or you just being static, or you just being in one direction.
Okay.
And
thank you very much.
You're welcome. I think one more thing is confidence. Yeah, confidence. Because you wouldn't want to go to an interview and when they ask you a question you want to answer and then you start to stammer or your confidence level is low. They need the confidence. So confidence is one very important thing during the interview. And also the clarity of your words. While speaking with them, don't talk too fast. You need to be clear with your words because they need to hear your words well. They need to understand what you're saying clearly. So clarity of words is important. Don't talk too fast. Make sure they hear you well and they flow with you so they can understand the point you're trying to pass. Yeah.
Thank you for your words of wisdom. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and experience with us today.
You're welcome.
So thank you. So I think one advice that has been constant from all our guests is hard work. Nothing good comes easy.
Yeah.
So if you want to achieve those dreams, you have to work hard. Put in the work. So thank you very much once again, Amos, for your advice and for sharing your knowledge and experiences with us. Really appreciate you.
You're welcome. So I wish the applicants out there good luck. I think right now the applications are closed. While you wait for the interview mails, I would also advise you to apply to other programs. They say something, it's not good to put all your eggs in one basket. With me, after I applied for the Russian Government Scholarship, I didn't wait for that alone. I didn't stay there expecting a mail from them. I decided to apply for Turkey and then I got my second choice, not even the first one. So be on the lookout for more opportunities that you can apply for, and so you have more options to pick from later on. So I wish you all good luck and success also in all our future endeavors.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So to our listeners, we hope you found this episode helpful. We are here for you. We'll continue to bring you different scholarship opportunities that can help you open doors to amazing experiences and skills to help you make a difference. See you next time. For the meantime, keep striving and stay inspired. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Scholar ChitChat. If you found our conversation insightful and enjoyable, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to stay updated. We've got a lot more in store and we don't want you to miss out.
We are always diving into topics like this: academics, scholarship, professional life, and the international student experience. It's what makes Scholar ChitChat your go-to podcast for a fresh perspective. Also, don't keep all this wisdom to yourself. Share this episode with your friends and family who could benefit from it. We are building a community of learners and would love for you to be a part of it.
Your thoughts matter to us. We want to hear from you. Drop your comments and questions in the chat, or send your questions, suggestions, and comments to scholarchitchat@gmail.com. Your input helps shape the future of Scholar ChitChat.